Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Market Report on ADBN Television. My name is Adefolarin Olamilekun. As part of engagement and advocacy around the 15% import tariff on PMS by federal government of Nigeria, we are taking a look at boosting local petroleum refineries in Nigeria. The recent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approval of 15% importation tariff on petrol and diesel has been described as a strategic policy step to stimulate local refinery of petrol and to strengthen Nigerian energy independence. According to some economists, the new policy is a bridge, not a burden, aimed at transforming Nigerian petroleum landscape and securing long-term economic stability for the nation. Others describe the policy as a deliberate measure to end Nigerian dependence on imported fuel and accelerate the country's path to energy self-sufficiency. A 15% import duty on petrol and diesel is a bold and strategic move aimed at reshaping Nigerian energy landscape. That is according to energy experts. For years, Nigeria had depended heavily on imported fuel despite being one of the world's leading crude oil producers, a situation that drained foreign exchange, hindered job creation, and stifled local refining investment in Nigeria. The nation has depended so heavily on imported fuel despite being one of the leading crude oil producers in the world. And just recently, Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NUPRC, indicated that petrol imports still account for about 69% of the country's total fuel demand over the last 15 months, between August 2024 and October 10, 2025. Meanwhile, this new policy is designed to reverse the trend by encouraging local refining, boosting domestic capacity, and ensuring that Nigerian oil will translate directly into national prosperity. Joining me right now on the show is Professor Ken Ife, who happens to be an economist and someone knowledgeable about this recent and current dispensation on the 15% tariff. So being joined all the way from Lagos by Professor Ken Ife. Prof, a good day to have you on the show, sir.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right, sir. So let's just get straight to the ball of discussion. Prof, a lot have been said about this 15%, but what is your reaction first to this new policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Well, this is the most consequential, the most effective fiscal instrument that is being deployed by this administration to ensure compliance. So that is how I would describe that. And there's a background to this. In 1960, we had political independence. And up to today, there is virtually nothing we can point at, any sector, any of that would have achieved economic independence. So at the bottom of this is our crave to have economic independence, at least in one of the major sectors of our economy. One thing you cannot deny in Nigeria is our God-given right to add value to those God-given resources of our country. We have agricultural produce because we are blessed with very good climatic conditions. We have solid minerals, at least 44 of them. We have crude oil, we have natural gas. Those are our natural endowments, and nobody should take it away from us. The inalienable right to add value to this process and then use it to develop our economy and develop our people. I can understand that second stream are things we have no control over. Technological products, consumer goods, Nokia to Nokia, all that stuff, the devil is in the detail, and then we don't have competitive advantage. But this one, we're not letting it go. And now the story is this. Since 1945, Nigeria has been on the sharp end of an international division of labor that says we only want you guys in this value chain to give us raw materials. And we all know that whoever exports raw materials exports labor and imports poverty. And that is the story of Nigeria. It doesn't matter. Whatever growth you post on paper, you are not able to feed yourself. You are not able to guarantee employment to young people. 70% of our population are under 35 years of age. So if you are import dependent, you have to be braced for every conceivable global economic headwind will affect you. Doesn't matter whether it is COVID-19 or American property subprime crisis or a Russian war, they will affect you. Because in the end of the day, they will inflate the price of goods you are going to import into the country. That is the meaning of import dependence. So when the petroleum sector set out to displace all the other sectors and send infrastructure development into comatose, we have lived with all that, fought for 20 years to get it. Buhari signed that PIA in 2021, and I don't blame the man. He's had enough fight, and they decided to leave it to the next administration. President Bola Tinubu came in and stopped the subsidy that was gulping 500 billion naira every month. Whilst he has blown that away, he's still getting only 50% of that money, which is what World Bank says. NMPs trapped the rest of the 50% in their inefficient operations. Now, all the symbol or the significance of import dependence is that they kill all your industries in the particular sector where you are not dependent, where you are independent, you are dependent. For example, we've seen what happened to textile industries in Nigeria. We produce cotton in this country. And then for some reason, we waived our right to process those cotton. And then all the industries that we have built up in Kanu, Kaduna, Lagos, employing almost 2 million people, all of them have gone bust simply because we yielded to frivolous import of cheap textiles from India and China. And the same thing has happened to our oil industry, where we have 4 dead refineries owned by government. And then they continue to pay salaries to those who are purportedly working there. And all these unions said nothing. In fact, when they sold 2 refineries, Parakot and Warri to this thing, they sold to Dangote-led group. They paid 750 million. Yaradua came back. The unions were protesting. The same unions that come, they were protesting against the sale of those, and then they gave back the money. Are we not regretting it today? Have these refineries worked? So we had a situation where the gangs, all that gangsters in this industry, are marketers. They can't let us breathe in this country. And the consequence is that now that private sector are coming in into the sector, we have to have a level playing field. Now, what is the level playing field? The level playing field is that the price benchmark for fuel is the imported price. That is the price benchmark. And that price benchmark must equilibrate with our own cost recovery. Because don't forget, the man that sent you, the company that sent you this crude, the problem to come and sell in Nigeria, they've made their profit, they've broken even, they made their profit over there, and they push the product to you to come and sell here. Now, our own companies here must not only break even, but also make sufficient profit to be able to have what you call cost recovery. And that cost recovery must sit next to the pari passu with that import price of petrol. Now, what happens in reality is that that import price of petrol sits below the cost recovery, making sure that these people can never make profit in that business and they will go down the route of all the old refineries. That is the simple mathematics about it. And so the government now said, well, wait a minute, we are going to equalize this so that everybody has a fair to protect our industries. That is what the government says. Government is not primarily going there to get money, but that is the only instrument left to the government, which is what you call ad valorem. Is a levy instrument based on ad valorem to take up that price to an equilibrium. So that's all that they're crying about. And I say to you, what is the correct value of the petrol we consume today? It's about 860. That add what that 15% will bring another 100 naira to make it 960. And what is that? That is $0.62. Nigeria is the lowest price of petrol in the region. Ghana is $1.37. in Cote d'Ivoire is $1 170. In Senegal is $1,070 or more. So what are you talking about? In Nigeria, we have our petrol is half the price of Ghana, and is one third the price is sold in both Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal. So why don't those importers carry their fuel and go to sell it and make 100% profit? Why
All right.
don't they
Prof,
carry
Prof,
it to Senegal and make
Prof, so sorry to cut you. Having established this background that we need to understand, but for many Nigerians who are also in support of this particular policy of the government, and they are looking at opportunity whereby local refineries, like the likes of Dangote and others that are coming, can really benefit. But the fear of monopoly, that this policy is only single-handedly done because of Dangote. But what do you have to say about that accusation that's coming from importers and others who are against this particular policy of the government?
the monopoly you have in Nigeria is NNPC. Can you tell me what is NNPC doing in downstream? They have NPC stations all over. Are they traders? What are they doing? They're not getting any fuel. What are they doing? They should sell those things off. Now, what is NNPC doing in midstream with moribund refineries? There's over 10 billion repairing them, paying salaries for people who do not work, and then at the last minute of situation, they got $3.5 billion. They create our crude with Afrexim to repair the refinery. And the same benders now, all those people were the ones, they never protested against all the iniquities and all the things going on with NNPC and the refineries. And they started jumping about hailing them. Yeah, the refineries are back. Back where? They produce. Have they produced 1 liter of PMS? If you are producing naphtha, are you going to put naphtha into people's car? They should just bugger off. If they say that those refiners go and focus on the real business that you should do in the upstream sector and then offshore, go and get those working and then create a strategic reserve and then have crude in there so that those modular refineries can access crude. So what are they? Why are they causing all this distortion? Monopoly are those unions that are threatening nationwide strike because they have not broken them up into states, and companies should have their own union, and those who elect to join them can join them. Those are the monopolies. How can you say that Dangote is monopoly when there are 4 refineries here and then Bua is building his own and there are 3 modular refineries? So where is the monopoly coming from? Now, Dangote produces 45 million liters of PMS. Only 20 million is being sold in the country. The remaining 25 million, those people are trying to give him impossible conditions to take the product from him. So he's now bound to sell them, export them. Is that how monopolies behave? When he gave his press conference last Sunday, he invited all the 30 licenses, refinery licenses. Says, come, let's work together. Let's create a hub in Nigeria, a petroleum refining or other petrol refining hub in Nigeria to serve the whole of Africa. Why is it necessary to cite Africa? Because Africa consumed $20 billion worth of petroleum product. Africa and Nigeria consumed half, 10 billion. In 2020, Nigeria's importation was 2 trillion. 2021, it rose to just over 4 trillion. 2022, it went to 8.7 or 8 trillion. Now, the next year, 2023, it came down slightly to 7.4 trillion. But now, last year, 2024, it jumped to 15 trillion, which is $10 billion. What kind of economy is this? Where you are dumping, and then it's not even the correct fuel, is substandard fuel that you are dumping in the country. This fuel cannot be sold in the countries where they are made because they fall foul of the requirement. And you are bringing it to West Africa, where the says since that January, you can't have fuel here that has more than 50 parts per million of sulfur. You see what they're bringing in here. 150 and 200 people's cars in our environment. Is it the octane number so high, knocking people's car engine, or is it the alcohol? Sometimes the alcohol is 15%, 20%, when it should not be more than 10% on E10 specifications. So what the hell are we seeing in this country? They go off to Lome and then they mix it and then start throwing this stuff into the country, all violating the PIA law. That is the issue. So the man has done what he could, showing courage, and I want him to do more. I want him to go to the upstream and put 5%. Those companies drilling crude and are not sending them with priority to Nigerian, what we call domestic crude obligation. So we should have a 5% non-compliance, DCO non-compliance. So that if they don't send those crude, they face a tax to government of 5%. That will translate about $3 to $3.5. So if the price of crude is $65 and you are not sending the requisite number or quantity to the local refiner, then you're going to pay tax on those.
Exactly.
So in that case, government gets more.
Exactly.
So
Prof,
that
let's
is
take a
what
look
it
at
should
another
be.
very
The moment
contentious aspect of
is
the
paying that
policy.
extra.
All right, let's take a look at another contentious aspect of the policy which many fear could erupt if being implemented. The 15% tariff import is said that it will increase price of PMS at a retail end. But for the government said for them it will bring about competitiveness in fuel price and also allow local refineries to be able to create that sustainable aspect and resilient energy sector for Nigeria. So it's a question of within a short time we could have a high price of PMS, but in a longer term we could have a sustainable and resilient energy sector. For you, how do you come in between these two parameters of a higher price within a short period and a longer sustainable resilient energy sector for Nigeria?
There's no higher price. I have told you, Dangote has guaranteed and it has the capacity. The issue is this. They've guaranteed that there will be no price increase. That they will deliver this fuel and they have more than the local required capacity to deliver that. So there's no reason for price increase. Absolutely. They will deliver this fuel all over the country at that price, at least till end of December. And then, of course, we want to make sure that going forward, they can bring the price down. Once they are continuing to get enough fuel on naira to crude basis, they will bring down the price of the fuel. Because that is the that's the promise. And that and the arithmetic. If you add that 15%, it brings up the price at 965, which is $0.62 compared to $1.37 in Ghana, $1.7 in Bosnia, CDI, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal. So we are still much the lowest, but the price is not going to go up because that's the guarantee and warranty given by Morgan. They're not going to go up. They're going to stay there. And then even from January, if they are getting their crude, they'll bring that up further to give us that dividend. Don't forget again, they will be going to next year so that all Nigerians have opportunity to become stakeholders in this company. So if you call it monopoly, then let it be all Nigerians that are doing the monopoly. Yeah, I said, people come and join me, those refineries, let's go together and stop this nonsense going on. Only two countries are producing refined petrol, Nigeria and South Africa. Effectively, Dangote and South Africa. And then they are spending $20 billion buying this. So there's a big market for Nigerian producers. And where is the monopoly? When Bola is in, three modules are coming in. And because of this price parity now, investors are going to come. Because investors will not borrow money, bring it here, only to break even and not make profit. How do they pay for how do they service their debt? So now you've created a condition that will make them come and invest.
Exactly.
The second question is,
let's take a look at what the government is doing, particularly for the likes of Dangote, that will see that is the head of this particular initiation of what government is doing. But for you, what do you think the Dangote need? Apart from this tariff hike that to discourage importation, what else can government do to ensure that local refineries really have sustainable supply of crude oil in Nigeria?
It's just to implement the PIA Act. The PIA Act says domestic crude obligation, that companies drilling crude in Nigeria must supply the required local capacity first before exporting. And I've told you, this is 700,000 barrel capacity. If you are going to give him only 100 or 70 that you are giving him now, whoever is going to take the remaining 630 barrel to export should pay 5% duty to Nigerian government. I'm telling you, that is the way you look. The only language these guys understand is a tariff compliance language. That's what they will understand. To be going following them up and down and asking NMDPR, why don't you advise NUPRC that this nonsense? Put a tax on it. And then let the government get the money and stop borrowing. Let the government get the money and stop asking citizens to pay five naira per petrol per liter. No, leave them. Go and collect the money. These guys want trouble. We'll give it to them. And then very soon now, our 30% raw material value addition is kicking in. We will not allow you to export any crude anymore.
Exactly.
Because crude has no value addition in it. So you must bring it in. If you want to export NAFTA, fine, that's fine. That is a value addition is in there. That time is coming.
Prof, let's also look at the international dimension of this issue at this point in time. We have a report that because of Dangote, a lot of refining companies in overseas are already closing shop. But for you, how best can we strengthen Dangote both at the local level and the international level?
You cannot have business by killing people in this country and driving us into abject poverty. Tell me which country where you have 4.2% growth and all your young people are unemployed and you have 139 million poverty, multidimensional poverty. Which country is it? Because of our own making. Let me tell you one thing. This act is to stop corruption. It is to stop corruption and all the stealing of our this thing in the import sector. Look at what EFCC did. When the EFCC went in, they found that one container will come with 30 million liter, one truck, and then it will discharge 10 million liter. They will record 30 for them. They go to Lome and come back. They discharge another 10. They record 30. They come back again. Discharge the 10. They record 90. So some 30 million liter vessel will have on record 90 million liter. Come and do it now with 15%. Or yeah, come and do it. And then see whether you are not going to end up paying 45% tax. So it is an anti-fraud strategy that is going to stop this nonsense. Because we expect the NMP, DRPA to do is to tell us the correct quantity of fuel consumed in Nigeria. And they haven't. They're not interested. So that they will allow all this stealing of gas and oil and all that stuff to continue. And then even as Dangote has invested 1.7 trillion to sort out the supply chain and all their cement in the distribution and logistics, they don't want to take advantage of it. You can tell this man to put satellite coordinates, satellite tracking in his tankers so that he will give you the correct consumption in every location. And then if they try to move out of their location or their program geofencing, then you get alarm. If they go near the border, you get alarm. You can use him. You will know exactly what is being consumed in this country.
Exactly.
But you don't. All they keep banding projected, and then they are willing and dealing, and they're punishing the whole population and preventing people to come and invest money here and produce and process our products. It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. Interesting, Prof. Another dimension to this discussion is the aspect of, the logistic aspect of this supply of the PMS into the country from Dangote and other parts of the country. But for you, how best can we ensure that now that this kind of policy has come to encourage local refinery, the supply of chain of it will not be broken? Particularly, as you mentioned, if there is going to be a situation whereby most of these local refineries will not be taking their fuel out of the country, it should be tracked. But for you, how best can we police some of these products now that government has put something in place to ensure that local refineries is really boosted going forward?
What I would say is this: these oil majors, let them take advantage of this new regulation. They should. Can you imagine a modular refinery refining 20,000 barrels a day costs about $75 million and $100 million if it needs catalytic converter, if the sulfur content is reasonably high. So this $10 billion they are spending on imports could actually build 100 modular refineries. And each of these 5 oil majors can actually set up 2 or 3 or 4 modular refineries. So they can consolidate their products, refined products, in their oil tanks, and then they can for export. Who told you that they cannot export refined products? Every African country needs refined products, all of them, and they can even go and put up some tank farms in other countries for these purposes. And if they want to sell to Nigeria, that's fine. From their thing, they can sell. But stop this nonsense of bringing adulterated fuel into this country. You stop, you go and do your own. That why don't you combine with the management buyout? Get this Nupeng and Pengasin and whatever they call themselves, that man, go and buy out this refinery from NNPC, management buyout. Go and buy them. Go and collaborate with the oil majors and go and buy them and do your own. Operate your own. Now it's profitable. Go and operate your own. And don't come and give us a lesson.
Exactly.
On
Now, Prof,
political economy.
another very interesting aspect of this particular discussion is the four national refinery. There is divided argument, either to sell or for the federal government to continue to maintain. But for you who understand the terrain very, very well, what is your take on the four refinery that as currently they are undergoing assessment and review? But what do you have to advise the government on these four refinery?
First of all, they've already gone by, they've dared. No, let me put it start from the beginning. Government has business with business. Government should have facilitated private sector or at least, at most, joint venture in setting up these refineries. Okay, look at the train 1 to 7, look at the LNG. It's not partnership with oil majors.
Exactly.
And government is getting dividend constantly, no trouble at all. They just carried it on their shoulder. Government business is no man's business. Nobody cares. That's why they are just there milking the country dry and causing havoc in the economy. So they have no business. I don't know what they are saying. They've tried to sell them, they couldn't. The people that came and bought two, they defunded them their money. They tried to ask people to come and co-locate. Nobody wants to co-locate. They're now trying to come to revive it themselves. Look at how much money they've wasted. They could have built 3 new refineries with this money they're wasting. So the question is this: get all those unions to have a management buyout. Let them go and manage it. Get the oil majors that are drilling this economy and bringing all this nonsensical fuel. Let them go and take them over and run it. Don't charge them any money. Let them take it and go and run it. Let them combine with the unions and go and run them. Remove money. Don't tie them money. Time to give you 750 million. No, let them take it free. But leave this country in peace. So I don't waste any of our money anymore on those refineries. It's just not what the paper is written on. That is the simple advice. Let the private sector that are coming up and investing, don't stop Buell. Let him come in. The same way as he came into cement. They worked in hand to reverse from 20% self-sufficiency to 100% self-sufficiency. We are now exporting clinkers to African countries, cement clinkers. That's what is going on. Look at Dangote's fuel. People are seeking for it from Saudi Aramco, from America, from Brazil. Everybody wants his fuel. Over 10 countries in Africa are wanting his fuel. Everybody wants his fuel. Is that a sign of poor quality fuel? And the new one is going to go to Euro 6 from Euro 5, the highest possible standard, eco standard. So what are we talking about? Let the private sector come in. Business, government don't have any business with business.
Exactly. Now, talking about the private sector, in your own understanding, what is really discouraging them not to pick up their licenses, particularly the oil major that you mentioned, not to pick up licenses and build refineries in Nigeria? Because a lot of arguments have go forward that maybe because of the current PIA law that need review. Also help us to understand that aspect.
First of all, there are two things. One, do you have a price that is market driven, that is collective, and that allows them successful recovery? The answer is yes now with 15% ad valorem. So there's a prospect that if they go and borrow money and invest, they will be able to make reasonable. Number two, will they get the crude? Has NNPC supplied Dangote enough crude? What they are now saying that these 70,000 barrels, that they are going to increase it to 160,000 barrels a day. which is 5 million barrels a month. How far is that? Is that anywhere near the 700,000 barrels? If Dangote is having problem with NNPC, how do you think all the others are going to come in and come and struggle? They don't have voice. They don't have muscle. They can't fight. That's the problem. That's why I said put a tax on that so that government starts collecting money and let us see how they are going to make it. Because if the oil price is selling at $60 and then government adds $3 on top of your crude because you have not given it to Nigerians to process, they add another tax of $3. You see how you are going to sell it $63 plus your margin abroad when the going price is 60. But what they are doing is that they are forcing Dangote to go through the back door to the marketers to pay them a premium of $3.5 to get crude that he should have got. And they are talking nonsense about willing seller, willing buyer. What is willing seller, willing buyer? Willing seller, willing buyer operates at the point of extraction of the crude, not when marketers are carrying the food. They're telling them willing buyer, willing seller. Those are the two critical issues.
On the other hand, Prof, having established a very critical aspect that the government need to take a look at, what can we do, or what can the government do, particularly to sustain crude supply to Dangote and others? And again, you made mention of something that many Nigerians will be worried about: this upfront sales of our crude by NNPC and its joint venture group. How can we stop such activity?
Well, it will expire soon. I think it's for 5 years or something. It will expire soon. But even then, we still have leverage. I think it's about, I don't know, about 30% of the thing that they sold. There's still more. And don't forget that the crude production is going up. It's 1.8. Our target is 2 million per day. So there is scope. And we went to 2.4 before, 2.4 million before. So why wouldn't we be able to get back to 2.4? But I tell you the other thing that you have not asked. The international trade dimension. Nigeria is a signatory to bilateral, plurilateral, and multilateral trade agreements, starting from ECOWAS. We are a member of the ECOWAS Customs Union, and we are signatory to the conf with 5 bands: 0, tariff, 5%, 10%, 20%, and then 35%. The question is this: have we made ECOWAS treaty? The answer is no, because we are not changing the absolute bans of the tariff bans for external import, but we are using levy instrument on selected products, and petrol. And we are invoking safeguard measure to protect our industry. So that's allowed by ECOWAS. But you call it levy, you don't call it tariff. Do you understand?
Exactly.
Then you go to the next one, WTO. Have we offended any of the WTO agreements? There are 5 agreements with WTO that govern what we right now. They have what they call safeguard measures, agreement on safeguard measures, where you have to take measure to safeguard your local industry. We have another one about subsidies and countervailing measures, where you see subsidies and predatory pricing from other external suppliers, and then you have to protect your industry. That's where you kick in the ad valorem price. Then the third one, of course, don't forget that what we're talking about is normal acceptable product, but not when you have substandard product, because substandard is injurious to your health, and that's where you call dumping. We have another agreement on dumping, anti-dumping law agreement, where it says if people are dumping product in your country, which is what they are doing with PMS and the diesel, then you must take action, so appropriate action. And then in our own case, the dumping is not only substandard goods, but is in addition predatory. So what are 2 of them are active at the same time? Government must take action. Then you have what we call infant industry protection. Dangote's product is an infant industry because, unlike the refineries of these people, this one is an integrated complex, the one of its type in the world. It's new, and it deserves industry protection. Every country protects their infrastructure. They protect their technology, protect everything. So now, for 2 reasons, either because of safeguard measure on local industry or on infant industry protection, or both, they deserve to be protected. as well as the new emerging modular refineries. So that is the act, that's the law. All the 5 agreements of WTO support President Bola and Ahmed Tinubu. And then the other question is, should the president take unilateral action? I've seen a petition saying that he can, the assembly, minister for trade, all that stuff, throw them out through the window. This law act has a power, delegated power for you to make regulation. You don't go back to the assembly. And the regulation, if you look at the section 4 of the NMDPRA, the power is there to make that regulation. So the president is the minister for petroleum, and he has directed them to make that regulation and put this into force. And then you go to the PIA Law Act, you will see the justification on section 71 and 72 that you do this when you think that these conditions are persisting. So what are we talking about? The guy has done his homework. Zacchaeus or something, the guy has given him the advice, correct advice, very, very sound. You should do it. And you should go and do the one of 5% upstream.
Exactly.
So
and interesting, what we have been able to establish for us, and what the president has also done, is that legally wise, it has been proven that the law has come to stay. The internationally wise also, it has also been proved that we have not broken any law, either on the ECOWAS side or WTO side. That means this law of 15% is good to go. But although the consequences, the fear of how government communicates its policy is where we have challenge. So, Prof, for you, how do you think henceforth government can communicate such policy to Nigerians? Because the confusion out there is that because of this policy, fuel will be 1,002. But for someone like you who understand the integrity of this kind of policy, and for government on its part, how can we begin to communicate effectively of government policy like this to Nigerians henceforth?
Well, fight corruption. Corruption will fight back. You are dealing with people in a entrenched position. You are dealing with, what do you call it? A syndicate in an entrenched position. So they were going to be fighting back. They're spreading everything. Is it not the deputy, gubernatorial candidate of PDP that was writing this thing today, asking the Senate to intervene, Senate president? I had to engage him in an interview this morning. I had to engage him. Because this is all that there are politicians, everybody, they'll cause much more confusion. And they tell all this long story. Now look at the price. If you go to Slangote gantry, the gantry price of petrol, PMS, is about 820 or something like that. Now that stack, if you look at that stack of 820, you can see who is getting what. And you will see that the small proportion, there's a proportion of it that goes to those who are doing mineral prospecting and exploitation. Then there are people who are drilling, they get their own. Then you have the transportation of the crude to the refinery. Then you have the 20 billion investment getting a small segment of that thing. And then between that 820 to the when the fuel gets sold, you see where they're selling 1,000. Somebody is collecting about 300 naira, 350 naira for doing nothing. Those are the middlemen. Those are the people we have problem with. Yet the man that sells the petrol, that man doesn't get more than 30 naira per liter. Who is collecting the other 250 naira? Who? That is what you are fighting. That's what you are fighting, because that's backed by hook or by crook.
As we begin to round up, Prof, because I know this kind of discussion, it could take a whole day, it could take a whole month. But due to time, let's begin to round up. But for us to round up, let's quickly ask this question, particularly directly to Dangote. How can we encourage the likes of Dangote? Because as you rightly pointed out from your analysis, what he gets even after production, after selling, is less than people who are even selling at a retail level. But how can we encourage the likes of Dangote going forward?
Well, you encourage him with better regulation and an enforceable and implementable measure. Because if you don't have this 5%, you're not going to have equalization. Investors are not going to come. Those who have ventured are going to suffer. Then secondly, to come upstream and downstream more, midstream, you're going to make sure that the upstream are going to live to their responsibility. And there's only no language is impose non-compliant DCO non-compliance tax. Put it there. They will have a choice to make. Will you do what you're supposed to do under the law, or do you want to bugger off with this crude, but pay me this money? Let us see how they decide.
Interesting.
That is the answer. It's just, it's not talking and talking. The president has been talking since last year. How many times the president gave 6 months for them to comply? After 6 months, they automatically stopped. And then later, they told again, you must go and continue. They have there. Is it not 70,000 they are giving to somebody that needs 700,000? Put a penalty, put a tax. They'll do it.
Exactly.
That's as simple as that.
Exactly. Prof, I really need to
Then you
appreciate
will
you
see
for
how
your
development will come to our country.
Right, exactly. Prof, I need to appreciate you for your submission, and no, very instructive, I would say, particularly with this new advocacy that you are bringing up, particularly upstream. We need to take that measure, just like we have taken 15% on imported tariff. The 5% you are suggesting for government on the upstream side of the oil production, it is a good advocacy we have to take on that, and we believe the government can take this kind of action and help Nigeria. So thank you so much, Prof, for coming on the show today, sir.
And also, the president should pass the 30% mandatory value addition law.
Exactly.
Because he's waiting for his assent.
Exactly.
It has been passed by the two houses. Learn it so that we'll start playing.
Exactly. He will do advocacy around that too. Once,
anymore.
Prof, once a president is not taking a clue in the next 1 month, I think we have to create advocacy around that, because anything that will protect Nigerian industry, Nigerian industrialization is the way to go for us all. So thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.
We can't wait to see you back in Abuja and have you live in our studio here in the ADBN television.
Thank you very much.
So enjoy the rest of your day over there in Lagos. I've been speaking with Professor Ken, if you happen to be the president of Institute of Professional Economists and Policy Manager. Very extensive discussion around boosting local petroleum refineries in Nigeria. It is the time for us to do that. Other countries have been able to protect their economy and protect their industry. And for the Nigerian government, as being said by many economists, the 15% import tariff on PMS is the way to go. My name is Adefolarin Olamilekon. Till we come your way with another interesting package of market report, I sign out from here and I said, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.